In 2003, a man was found hanging from the rafters of a suburban house. He had $1,500, half a packet of cigarettes, and a handkerchief in his pockets. No one knows his name. Case 3072 has been frozen in storage for 2 years.
So you conclude your statement, the male still remains unidentified, and that's still the position as at today? Thank you. In the finding which I have prepared, I've spoken about the sadness I feel that someone who must be known to and belong to somebody remains, in spite of extensive and exhaustive inquiries, unidentified.
This is the man no one has claimed.
There was enough there for me to conclude, obviously, that it was a suicide, although there was no suicide note. It was not an accidental death. The reasons why the deceased took the decision he did remain totally mysterious. And I assume now that this matter's concluded that the body will be buried anonymously, unidentified. Sad.
What we really need now is someone to come forward saying that they are aware that a person is missing. We can then try to obtain biological material or dental records from this missing person and see if the results of the examination of this deceased person matches that of the missing person.
But just when it seems the case would never be solved, someone has come forward. Maureen Pratt noticed a story about the unknown man in a Melbourne newspaper.
Started to read this article. The further I read, the more it seemed to hit me that this could be Tony. The clothes he was wearing, the amount of money he had in his pocket, cigarettes, the fact that it was 2 years since we'd seen him. So all these things pointed to the fact that it could be him.
This weather update is...
Maureen Pratt and husband Russell lived next door to a retired man in his 60s who mysteriously went missing.
This is the view from our house. We'd see him most days, wave to him, and everything was very neighbourly until he had problems. And after a while, we didn't see him at all, and it was quite sad.
Maureen contacted police, who contacted this man, guitar technician Simon Christian.
March 2003 was the last time I saw Dad. I was sitting pretty much on this very couch in this room. Me and my brother came round. He sat us down and said that we would no longer be a part of his life in the physical sense, but we would spiritually. That he was... Basically, he didn't see any more room for us in his life in the direction that he wanted to take. So when I left, I actually said to Dad, I know that I'll see you again, and I'll see you soon. Whenever you're ready, we'll have another chat. And last thing I think he said to me was something like, I'm glad you feel that way, Simon. I believe that to be the last words that I actually got from Dad.
DNA tests will soon reveal whether the man lying frozen in the mortuary is Simon's father.
The police came to my door one night and they said, are you Simon Christian? I said, yes. Is your father Anthony Peter Christian? Yes. Can we come in, please? And that's, wow, all right. If the police want to come in and speak to me about my father, this can't be good news.
And I think initially they said he died, and then, like, he's committed suicide. And I'm thinking, overdose? No. He'd hanged himself. And that's a big enough shock. But then they say 2 years ago. It's like, what do you mean 2 years ago?
Now Simon's about to undergo a DNA test to establish for certain whether his father is the unknown hanging victim.
Let's hold that still for a second.
He'd been to Thailand a couple of times with a monk, and he was going to follow Buddhism as a new way. He was trying to find a natural cure for his illness after spending 10 years or so suffering, you know, depression and bipolar and manic depressiveness and So I guess he was tired of the lithium and tired of all the other drugs that go with fighting that kind of, mental disorder.
Hello, Simon. Good morning. It's Jeff Spowett calling from the State Coroner's Office. I'm ringing to let you know we've got the results from the DNA indicating a 93% match with your dad.
I got a phone call saying that they had a DNA match between my DNA and Dad's bone sample that they took out, and that was satisfactory for the coroner, considering the length of time that Dad had been sitting in the fridge.
The unknown hanging victim finally has a name. Tony Christian.
He just experienced a low that I could never imagine, because life is just too beautiful to want to leave. When you get taken, you have no choice, but to take yourself is just something that I'm probably having more hard time coming to terms with that than anything else. Me and my brother would drive past here and see his cars here. So we assumed, well, he's still here. I'd ring him up. Let's say, Father's Day, his birthday, Christmas, just at the odd chance that, he might answer or he might, return my call. I'd just say, Dad, it's been a while, give us a call. Give us a chat and meet you up the Croydon, we'll have a beer or something, Whenever I catch up with my brother, I'm like, have you heard from Dad? No. And we actually said, gee, we haven't heard from Dad in a while. I hope that the next time we hear from him, it's not through bad news.
When George's... Simon's visiting the house his father left for the last time 2 years ago.
This is how Dad left his house for the last time. He'd left everything on the bench.
He'd even paid for his own funeral.
Do you see his Andersons Creek Cemetery Trust, his passport, his driver's licence, all his bank cards, his Medicare cards, just a couple of receipts, birth certificate, and then photos of him in Thailand on his last visit. This is where we came and scattered Dad's ashes. This is where we're going to put Dad. We've got his mum here and his dad here. Dad's reservation's here. He wasn't the lonely man. He wasn't the number that they gave him. He was Tony Christian. He wasn't unknown 3072/03. And that he actually was a person that was missed, and we were concerned and we were wondering where he was.
And he was loved.
And he was loved.
Next week, a mysterious and sudden death.
We found